What's up, world, and welcome to episode 2 of the Infinite Universe podcast. I'm your host, Jay Days, alongside my co-host, Ben Metlis. And in today's episode, we will be discussing Marvel's latest film, Black Panther, starring Chadwick Boseman.
We will also be discussing some of the latest trailers and teasers, as well as any upcoming DVD releases. Plus, we will talk a little comic book television towards the end of the show.
Make sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and please rate and review the show. You can also check us out on YouTube and follow us on social media, Instagram at Infinite Universe Podcast, or follow us on Twitter and share this episode with others on your social media pages. All right, there's definitely going to be some spoilers coming up ahead, so don't get mad at us if we give away important plot points because you've been warned. All right, so Ben, did this movie live up to the hype?
Well, I think that $1 billion in box office sales speaks for itself, John.
I mean, the box office records on this movie was incredible. Opening weekend worldwide, $404 million in 4 days, beating out Justice League's total in just those 4 days.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
It's got the 5th best opening of all time.
Damn right, and it just keeps getting higher, too.
I think it's also the 7th highest grossing domestic release, just beating out The Dark Knight.
I know, I just read that today.
Yeah, that's
Over
crazy.
$1 billion worldwide, just stressing that again. And it was number one at the box office 4 weeks in a row as of this taping.
It just beat out A Wrinkle in Time, which actually didn't even have a terrible opening.
It just was going up against the beast of a movie.
Traditional aspects, it was just... I was actually listening to a guy at the gym this morning talking with his trainer about it, and his trainer asked him, "Mo, have you seen it yet?" And he said, I wasn't able to see it because his theater was still sold out. So it's still selling out in movie theaters all these weeks later. That's awesome.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the movie a lot. We're going to discuss a lot of my favorite scenes, as well as some of the plot points and synopsis. But I want to talk about something because this was more than just a comic book movie, I feel. There was definitely a deeper message in this. Unlike a lot of the other Marvel films, let's talk about some of that.
Well, in the past, it was a film industry belief that a predominantly African-American led cast does not do well in international box office. I think it's pretty safe to say that this movie totally blew that stereotype out of the water. And there's without a question that it not only did well here, but it's killing it
Overseas, internationally,
Yeah.
exactly.
So there's no more excuses where it's like, well, they don't do these like traditionally black movies don't do well overseas. It's like, no, you can't use that excuse
Or
anymore.
we heard, black lead actors, maybe
They don't sell like other
in
nations,
other markets.
in other markets, you
yeah.
won't go see them. And I think that I don't know. I'm not trying to justify or argue against. I'm just saying that there's no proof anymore behind that. Like, Black Panther is not only killing it here, it's killing it internationally. It's one of the most successful. It's the most successful Marvel movie to date.
Damn right.
I mean, so there you go. The proof is in the pudding.
All right, and what about other black superheroes in the past?
Well, like, people have been also saying that, there have been other black superheroes in the past, such as Blade, but Blade doesn't really count because Blade was also 98% white cast. There's only 2 other black actors in that, but Black Panther was the first superhero movie with the cast was 98% black.
Yeah, and the 2 white actors in this movie played as Gollum and Bilbo Baggins, meaning that they were the 2 token white guys of the movie, which is a nice role reversal if you ask me.
Dun-dun-dun. No, but and they both held up on their own, but the idea that there are some naysayers going, oh, well, Blade, there have been other lead Blade was successful. It was his black superhero. It's like, yeah, but Blade technically wasn't necessarily a superhero movie. That was more of a horror movie. I don't even think that was necessarily...
Or just more of a vampire genre horror movie,
so,
whatever kind of movie.
There's no saying that this movie totally broke out in its own and showed that, it is a culturally significant movie.
Yeah, and it even impacts, the youth of the world, which is, I find, so awesome and fascinating.
It's funny you mentioned that because the weekend after the movie broke out and it was hitting the $440 million mark, of course, all the news organizations were discussing it. It was the talk of like, it was news.
It was everywhere.
Yeah, it was everywhere. So I was watching Don Lemon on CNN and he was discussing about how when he was a kid, he went to see the Superman movie. And as a child, wanting to be like Superman and not caring that Superman was white. But now as an adult, he sees Black Panther and understands there are children like him who see Black Panther and think he looks like me. And that is important to kids to know that there could be black superheroes just as impactful as the white ones.
Yeah, 100%. And, you even saw kids who maybe didn't look like Chadwick Boseman in the theaters wearing the same Black Panther costume as the kids who did look like him, showing that children just need heroes to look up to and really don't even care about skin color.
No, and the fact that, there are black superheroes and white superheroes, and now there's women superheroes who are
Damn
even
right.
Wonder Woman killed in the box office too.
Exactly. Now, all these little girls got, superhero role models to look up to.
Exactly.
And it's really awesome,
the
for this generation
is very
of
important.
Kids. Yeah.
And I think that, I think the barriers are definitely being broken. And, and the naysayers could say all they want, but this movie definitely had a cultural impact on society as a whole.
100%. All right, let's go into a little bit of the comic book history of this character, which debuted in July of 1966 in an issue of Fantastic Four, number 52, created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Now, during this time was the civil rights movement going on in America, and there's this misunderstanding that the character was based on the Black Panther movement, which is actually not the case because they didn't start until October of 1966.
So a couple months later.
Black Panther, whose real name is T'Challa, king and protector of this fictional African nation, Wakanda. And we see all that in this movie, which had a star-studded cast.
Oh my God. Everyone was in there.
Everyone. Obviously starring Chadwick Boseman. He was in 42. That was the Jackie Robinson movie. The movie Marshall and Captain America Civil War, obviously. But Ben, talk about some of the other casts we had in this.
Of course, Michael B. Jordan, who's
excellent.
Creed.
He was awesome in it.
I guess since we are talking about comic books, we have to mention he was in Fantastic Four.
Oof.
But he was in all of Ryan Coogler's movies, the director of the film, who directed also Creed, Fruitvale Station, which is his first movie, and actually Black Panther is his third movie.
And you know what? I'm gonna not hold it against him for Fantastic Four anymore because he killed it as a Killmonger role.
Actually, I couldn't even hold it up against him anyway, but that's a discussion for another day. But then we also had Forrest Whitaker.
Awesome.
Who's fantastic. Angela Bassett.
Awesome.
Do you know how excited my fiance got when she saw Angela Bassett in the movie?
Who else we had in this?
Daniel Kaluuya from Get Out.
All right.
Well, actually, yeah, he was at the Oscars the other night. And Michonne from The Walking Dead, Dinah Gura.
Yeah, she killed it in this movie. I loved her in this. I loved her in Walking Dead. I loved her even more in this movie. And
yeah, she was badass. She also made a joke about not wearing hair. Remember, she was bald, and then she's like, I feel stupid with this thing on.
Yeah.
I saw an interview when she was talking about having to shave her head. And she said at first it was really weird and it made her feel uncomfortable. But then later on, she's like, this is so much easier than having hair.
I think she looked kind of hot with a shaved head.
I actually did too.
And then we had the director, Ryan Coogler.
Like I said before, he's directed, this is only his third movie. He's directed Fruitvale Station, Creed. He has some other projects lining up. He's making a new project about the Atlanta cheating scandal.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently Michael B. Jordan's going to be in that too.
Yeah. Seems
after
like an
he's finished
film.
with Fahrenheit 451.
I like what he's brought to the table as a director. I love Michael B. Jordan as an actor.
He has one of the highest box office rates with a director.
Nice.
I don't know if this is completely accurate, but I heard that most of his movies go under budget. And they blow it out. Fruitvale Station made millions of dollars within a couple of weeks after coming out. And it was made on only $900,000.
Nice. And this movie just made $1 billion. Even if they spent 200, 300 million, 400 million to make it. I don't know what the
exact $200 million budget.
They definitely got their money's worth with this. All right, so let's move on here. All right, so in this movie, we get to see the backstory of Wakanda, its history, how it got to be. We also see T'Challa in his new role as king and him rectifying the mistakes of his father. We also have the villain Killmonger who returns to Wakanda to claim the throne. We learn a whole lot about vibranium.
Oh, yeah.
And we also see how the Black Panther gets his powers from the heart-shaped herb.
Gets his potent ability from vibranium. There's
Yep.
also some Infinity War theories in that, but we'll discuss that maybe a little later and segue into a future podcast where we'll discuss that even further.
Nice. Let's talk about some of our favorite parts of the movie. I'm going to start with one and then we'll bounce back and forth. I really, really liked the visuals in this movie. I thought it was visually stunning. Some of the scenes that really stuck out, the ritual combat scene where they challenge the king for the throne. From the waterfalls to the backdrop, to the clothes that everyone was wearing in that scene. Just beautiful, such vibrant colors, such a cool scene in general. The first time he's battling someone, someone's challenging him for the throne on the waterfall. And it's
Wasn't
like,
that, what's his name? That guy, that was his first movie. Yeah, Winston Duke,
Yeah,
M'Baku.
he was great at that role. That scene was awesome. And then another visually stunning scene, the ancestral plane scenes. I got to see this movie twice. The second time I went to go see it in 3D, and there were a bunch of scenes, especially that ancestral plane scene that really stuck out. Just visually beautiful, those purples and
So
pinks
you
in
would
the
say
sky.
that 3D was worth it for once, huh?
Yeah, I would say that. I liked it.
Usually those are hit or miss movies.
100%. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Maybe just because I enjoyed the movie, so I enjoyed it even more the second time in 3D.
Well, I could see even in the 3D aspect how that entire scene with the color scheme was fantastic. And with the tree and then the panther's eyes lighting up, I can see how that would be visually stunning in a 3D captured scene.
And then not to fast forward too far, but some of the other scenes in 3D were way better. And we're going to talk about some of those coming up. So give me one of your favorite scenes.
One of my favorite parts is actually his sister, Shuri, played by Letitia Wright. She was in, if any of you are familiar with Black Mirror, she was in the Black Museum episode of Black Mirror. And I love the dynamic between her and her brother when he first comes back at the beginning after getting Nakia, his girlfriend. And he goes back and starts joking with her about some of the tech. I like that James Bond Q aspect. And the fact that this young girl was some of the technological brilliance behind a lot of the other, a lot of the Wakanda tech.
Yeah.
I really like that.
She was hilarious in it as well.
Oh, yeah.
She had some of the funniest scenes when she did the, "What are those?" That scene had me dying.
I call them sneakers.
Yeah. And also,
when he brought Ross in, she goes, "Oh, you brought me another broken white boy." It was like,
yeah. Or what did she say to Bilbo Baggins when he comes out of the
she
coma
goes,
or whatever?
She goes, "Don't do that, colonizer." You just call him colonizer.
She was great. And you know what? I really love the dynamic, the brother sister dynamic she had with T'Challa. I got to give my sister a quick shout out because on the first podcast, I mentioned her husband, my niece and nephew, and she got salty that I didn't mention her. So shout out.
Hi, Lisa. I'm shouting you out, Lisa.
But yeah, so the sister in it was great. Let's talk about a scene that we both agree on.
I think this is a scene that everyone who saw the movie agrees on.
I was literally on the edge of my seat in excitement because it was so dope. The Korea chase scene.
Yeah.
So let's set it up first. So it starts out where Black Panther and his crew are going into the casino to try to stop Claw, or try to catch Claw.
Well, they're
rather.
trying to catch Claw because they realize Claw's there, and this is an enemy of their state.
And Claw's trying to sell some vibranium, and ends
they
up
stole at the beginning of the movie.
And it ends up that he's trying to sell it
to Ross,
the
ancient Ross from the Civil War, played by Martin Freeman, and they notice each other and realize shit, and they're both here for the same person.
Yeah.
And it kind of turns into a power struggle where
Definitely.
it's like, no, you leave, no, you leave.
He's like, I'm leaving with him. It doesn't, he's saying like one way or another, I'm leaving with Claw. And so Claw and his henchmen come into this casino scene. You got a great Kendrick Lamar and Weekend track bumping in the back. I love that. And so it all turns to shit. Claw's henchman sees General Okoye, AKA, I'm just going to keep calling her Michonne because I don't know if I'm pronouncing her other name right. But they see Michonne from Walking Dead and their cover's blown basically. And she throws the wig. She starts kicking some ass. Everyone starts kicking some ass and basically Claw escapes. Claw was hilarious in this scene, by the way.
Well, first off, when he meets up with Ross and Ross like comes out with the briefcase and then he takes the vibranium thing out of his fly.
Yeah, right out of his from his junk.
I didn't have a fancy briefcase.
And then also just before that, just before that scene, Ross says to him, "When does your mixtape come out?" And he goes, "Oh, I'll give you my SoundCloud page." Like, I don't know if he was being funny or he was serious, but does Claw have a mixtape coming out? Because I kind of want to hear it.
We'll tweet Kendrick. Let's see if he can hook that up with us.
All right, so Claw escapes, and this is where like the illest freaking chase scene breaks out.
Okoye and Nakaya go after him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they get in the car first, and then his sister Shuri gives him some tech that gives him control of the car in this sick video game. Like,
yeah, it's like a simulation. She's back in Wakanda in this simulation, driving the car in real life in Korea, and he's on top of the car. It's wild, and I can't even describe how exciting it is because you just have to see it if you haven't. But if you have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Cars are flipping. He's bouncing off of walls.
Can I say one of my favorite scenes in that scene is when General Okoye threw the spear through the back window of the car, went out the front, landed in front of the car, and then the car slammed into the spear.
Oh,
the
yeah.
spear was deep enough in the ground by the power of her throw that it planted itself straight up and then kind of the car slammed into it like a barrier. I was just like,
and then the part where the car that she was driving, the other chick was driving, it basically gets destroyed and she's sliding down the hill in just the driver's seat, and then Michonne is on the hood of a car with the spear stabbed into it, kind of like sliding down.
I have to say the women in this movie were totally badass.
Oh my god, the women kicked ass the whole time in the movie.
I have to admit, I had a total geek moment on the internet the other day because so with Wonder Woman 2, they released a new villain and people were talking about how Okoye versus Wonder Woman should happen. And my first thought was, well, they don't exist in the same universe.
And I think Wonder Woman's probably a little bit stronger, but
you think so?
Yeah.
I think
Anyway,
Michonne's gonna take some.
Give her a run for the money.
No, she's gonna take some offense to you with that. I'm gonna write her right now. I got the Wakanda Okoye at wakanda.com.
All right. What about another scene, Ben? Tell me another scene that you thought was really good.
The fight scene in the cave, the final battle between T'Challa and Killmonger was one of my favorites. Like first that falling scene where they're kicking each other's ass while they're falling down.
That was really cool.
And then when they land on the train tracks, I guess the thing is that the mines were so fascinating to me. This is where the dual concept of the movie comes into play because yes, culturally speaking, this movie is very significant to people who aren't comic book fans, but to us, this is a go-home movie for a movie that we've been waiting 8 years for. So that whole mind had a mystery to me.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
I felt them fighting around. I'm like, yeah, I was paying attention to them fighting.
Trying to find little things in the background.
Little things in the background. Exactly.
Trying to find an Infinity Stone in the background.
Just saying, if there was a bright sparkle in the wall, like, maybe I caught it. But yeah, that whole fight scene between the final battle between good and evil, and also the finality between it all when like he stabbed him but he didn't finish him off, like because it has to play into the whole thing that happened at the end where he kind of like he understood where this guy was coming from. His father did his dad wrong. Like his father never lived T'Challa's father had like sins of the father. Remember we were discussing that, sins of the father, and he had to recompense to that sin. And he understood where Killjoy was coming from, even though he didn't agree with how he handled it. And that's why that was that great scene at the end. Like I told you, I saw it with my fiance, and she was just like, "Oh, I should kill him." And I was like, "No, you can understand, like, they're family." And like, he understands where, like, this was a guy who felt like his royal right was totally robbed from him for no reason other than that his father did something bad. And they stood there on the sunset, like Killmonger started like tearing up a little bit. I don't think anyone else could have played that part better than Michael B. Jordan.
You want to know something that I've noticed in Disney films as of late? There's a growing theme with death and sunsets.
Really?
Going back to Star Wars,
I didn't know
The Last Jedi.
Oh, really?
When Luke is...
Oh, he's sitting on the stone and like,
And I'm like, another one of these moments with a sun. I mean, listen, I love sunsets. I really do. Just like, the next, as much as the next person. But, I mean, is this going to be the theme? Are we going to see Thanos looking at a sunset in Infinity Wars 2 as his death scene?
Oh, don't ruin it for me already. I don't know. Well, I'll make sure next time I get into a finite battle with an arch nemesis. So when we die, like,
you have something nice to look
sunset.
at.
It's in the afternoon. Like, I'll die in the afternoon.
So another thing, just to wrap up, some of our favorite parts. I thought the Wakanda tech was awesome. First off, the suit, the necklace, how it turned into the suit, and how the suit absorbed energy.
Oh, well, that was one of the cool scenes in the
chase scene.
battle scene.
Yeah,
remember when she's like, "Oh, look at your body; it's been absorbing all the kinetic energy," and then like he kind of jumped up and like slammed down, and like the two cars blew up. I'm like,
not only that, like you mentioned, the different ways that they were able to control the cars or those balls. What were those ball thingies called again?
I remember in a scene after Ross got shot in the back. He turned to his general and said, "Give me one of your Komoya beads." I feel like those beads have multiple purposes.
Yeah.
So, I think those are one of the things he threw at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, to stop the cars from moving.
Shuri touched beaded bracelet when he called to her from in the middle of the fight to shut down the magnetic fields that protected the vibranium moving on the trains. So I feel like those are multifaceted and purpose, like, technology.
Yeah. And then also, there was also some crazy, like planes and jets.
Oh, yeah. The Firefly jets.
And that's only some of the stuff that we've seen in Wakanda. Obviously, they have a whole city standing on top of some vibranium.
Can I say something about Wakanda too? Going back to the cultural impact. I love the dynamic and the symbolism of that. Wakanda was supposed to represent what Africa had potential to be without European and outside colonialism involved. Like, what would those tribes been able to accomplish without outsiders interfering with their natural resources
or influencing?
And it was a really fascinating world to be involved in.
Cool concept to think about.
This movie had so much going for it.
It had layers.
It wasn't just like a Black Panther movie.
It wasn't just a comic book movie. It had a lot of layers to it.
Like, this movie was about Wakanda. It was about Black Panther. It was about Black Panther's family.
But that's the thing I liked about this movie, though. Although it had all of these deeper tones and multiple layers, if you were looking for that, it was in it. But it didn't feel forced to me at any point. It felt like an action, comic book, and entertaining movie, but it also, like I said, had some layers to it.
I feel like that's a great director right there, because the Creed had multiple layers to it and had a lot of significant impact and undertones, underlying storylines that weren't fully at the surface. And that's what kind of like this movie had. There's underlying stories that are there right beneath the surface, and they're not shoved in your face like, hey, this is like how Africa would be if it's it wasn't. It was like, no, if you saw it, it was there. But then it also had nice nods to the comic book fans too.
Yeah, had a lot of
nice
cool.
Easter eggs.
The soundtrack on this album was so dope. It was curated by Kendrick Lamar, one of my favorite rappers, and it thumps throughout the entire movie. There's songs by Kendrick, The Weeknd, SZA, 2 Chainz, and Schoolboy Q, just to name a few.
He wants to be a villain in the next one.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. That's really cool.
Stated in an interview when they were talking about the soundtrack, he wants to be a villain. So I mean,
Hey, I'd be all for it. Kendrick's one of my favorite rappers.
I'd like to see that.
I could see him probably acting. I'm
You
sure
know,
he's due for it.
I that is one thing that people always comment on when they talk about the movie too. It's like, oh, the movie was great, and I love the soundtrack. I know a guy at one of my work who like doesn't watch comic book movies that much, but the first thing that said, he was just like, I bought the soundtrack right after.
Yeah, it was really good. I dig it. I've been listening to it. Check it out. If you're a fan of hip hop, you might like it. All right, moving on. Let's go to the end credit scenes.
Of course, because Marvel's totally trained us to say it. The funniest thing was, in both times I saw the movie, the audience did not move once, not only for mid-credit scene, but for the end credit scene. Like, they've totally got us trained. I felt like, I don't know, at one point I was just like, I wanted to leave just because I was like, no, I'm not staying. Like,
you know what's the worst part, though? If you really have to pee toward the end of the movie, then you got to wait that extra 15 minutes. So that was me.
If you're really quick, you can run to the bathroom and then come back.
You actually could. You would have enough time.
You would have enough time.
Maybe even enough time to wash your hands.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, let's talk about the end credit scenes. There was two of them. They were both pretty simple, but I think they have a lot of potential. They kind of didn't give a whole lot away, but I could see where they're leading to in future movies.
Well, I mean, I guess the thing is, for us, this was the go home movie to Infinity War. This is like the last movie in the phase 3, right before phase 4. I guess I wasn't let down. I wanted something that would lead into Infinity War, but I understand they didn't. I do like the Wakanda to the rescue, like Wakanda, like the final UN summit meeting, because it was basically T'Challa going
to the United Nations.
Yeah, he's at the United Nations, and he's explained to the United Nations they want to be part of they want to end their isolationist, national stance where they don't really involve themselves with outside world politics, and said we would like to become a part of the international community. And someone says, what does Wakanda have to offer the rest of the world? And he smiled, like understanding that.
Yeah,
he was insinuating by the smile that he would be reversing course on their stance to not share vibranium, and actually kind of not go with what Killmonger's plan was, because Killmonger kind of wanted to do a little bit more of extreme measure of sharing vibranium, but at least give their tech to the rest of the world to make a more peaceful world.
And then the second end credit scene we get, we basically see Bucky waking up in a little hut.
Tent?
And he's obviously in Wakanda,
yeah,
right?
I would assume so. Be sure he's the one that is there when he comes out.
Yeah, he's in Wakanda, and basically this is just, I think, telling us that, hey, Bucky may no longer be brainwashed, and he's here to fight the good fight for the next movie. Now, one of the village kids calls Bucky White Wolf, who was actually a character in the comics, which I don't think Bucky's necessarily going to take up the exact role of White Wolf from the comic books, but I think they're going to kind of use that name and that identity to create a new persona for Bucky.
What they could do is they can maybe use the moniker of White Wolf to kind of explain who he is. It's kind of like Claw. Claw's character isn't a complete traditional version of how he is in the comic book, but he is a good homage to it with the sound gun on his hand, like, and
that was a badass gun on his hand.
But it wasn't completely like how he was in the comic, but it was a nice version of it.
Yeah.
And I mean, we can have that with Bucky. And who knows, maybe the White Wolf comment was just like a
nod.
Yeah, it was just a nod
to the comics.
It didn't have to mean anything. And I like those. As a comic book fan, I like when they throw the little nods to us. Because you know what? It makes us think. It makes us predict. It makes us kind of theorize on what we're doing right now.
All right, so overall, Black Panther, go see it. Great Marvel film.
Not only go see it, go buy it when it comes out on DVD.
The soundtrack, again, if you like hip-hop music, go check that out. And I think that's it. You got anything else to say about Black Panther for now?
Just can't wait for it to come out on DVD so I can watch some of the deleted scenes.
Yeah,
I would
nice.
love to see the deleted scenes between his sister and him. Like that scene when they go up and they like, I could just see them missing the hand clap at the beginning.
Some of the
Like,
outtakes,
yeah,
possibly. Yeah.
some of the outtakes, like some of the fight scenes might be. I bet you there's a whole bunch of. I've watched Chadwick Boseman in interviews, and he is a really funny guy. Like he's got a great personality. It's kind of weird though watching him in Civil War and then watching this movie twice, and I assumed that accent was natural, and it totally wasn't. Like he's from South Carolina, like so he doesn't even have an accent. So it was a little when they heard him, I was just like, oh man, the Wakanda accent's not real. Ah.
All right, so moving on. Since the first podcast, we've had a whole bunch of trailers and teasers that have been released. So let's talk about some of those. For the first time I saw this one was during the Super Bowl. There was another Infinity War trailer, which showed Captain America with the Wakanda tech gauntlet that we thought was just some glove kind of claw things. Actually turns out there's some sort of shield there.
I can see that.
And that's all we really got in that trailer that was, interesting. Everything else was kind of the same.
It was the same images.
Yeah, but that was cool to know that Captain still kind of has a shield of some sort.
Well, I guess we assumed that he was getting a shield when T'Challa in the commercial says, and get this man a shield.
Yeah, but in the first trailer, they show him running and we don't see it. So, but now we do know he does.
They gave us a little bit too. I mean, recently they moved up the date for Infinity War to like the 27th
so happy about
instead
that.
of the week after. We'll discuss that in our next podcast.
Let's talk about some more trailers in the
Yeah,
meantime.
we're going to talk about some more trailers.
All right, Deadpool teaser trailer came out. Listen,
took a nice shot at Justice League.
About the mustache comment, that was really funny. Listen, if the teaser trailer's making me laugh that much, then I have high hopes for this movie. Although there's been some test screenings that have happened recently, and they haven't had great reviews from that. And they're going back and doing a bunch of reshoots. I'm not too worried yet, Ben. What do you think?
I don't know. This is like something, this is like conflicting. Reshoots doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. I mean, Rogue One had reshoots, but reshoots 9 weeks before a movie's supposed to come out. Like, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I'm not going to say anything because Ryan Reynolds is still in it.
Still producing it.
The original director's not in it, but okay. I think that, I'll be honest with you, John, I had no expectations for Deadpool 1.
Yeah.
I seriously went into that movie thinking I'm not going to like this movie. And I did a one after another where I saw it. And then I saw it a couple hours later.
Wow.
I actually saw it in the morning, and I remember our friend messaged us and goes, hey, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, you want to go see Deadpool? And I saw it a couple hours later with him. So it was really like, it blew out my expectations. So this one, I'm kind of going in with all eyes open, going, okay.
I'm going to kind of agree the same way. The first one, I went excited 'cause I'm a big Deadpool fan. And then the movie just blew my expectations out the water, which was nice. This one, I'm going to go in with low expectations, and I'm sure I'll leave pleased. Listen, as long as we're not getting Ryan Reynolds Deadpool from Wolverine, I think we're okay, guys. I don't think there's much to complain about, but we'll see.
A big complaint from fans is that the trailer doesn't leave any plot points to go about. Like, you don't know what the movie's about. But there's some kind of throwbacks to some of the comic books. Like that guy that has the necklace thing around him, it looks like a locked collar, has some like almost speaks of Days of Future Past, which Cable was a very big part of. So who knows? They may be delving into some very, very epic comic book storylines in this. And they just don't want to reveal too much. So
yeah, all we really know is Cable's from the future. He comes to the present.
Domino's in it.
Domino's in it. Negasonic Teenage Warhead's in it.
The taxi driver's back.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, I'm excited for it. There's that funny line where Cable says to Deadpool, "Your time's up, you dumb fuck." And then Deadpool turns to the camera. Well, that's just lazy writing. That was funny. You know, if it's that the whole entire movie, I'm gonna enjoy it. You know.
The memes already have been fantastic.
Yeah. So the first meme I saw was hilarious. It was Cable painting Deadpool, but in the portrait that he was painting, it was Deadpool, the version of Deadpool from Wolverine. So that weirdo, no mouth Deadpool face that you guys know and hate. But then there was a second meme that was so great.
It came out after Black Panther came out.
Yeah, it was Deadpool painting Black Panther, but instead of Black Panther, it was the face and head of Robert Downey Jr. from his character Kurt Lazarus from Tropic Thunder. So there's some really great memes out there. If that's all we get is some funny jokes and some memes with Deadpool 2,
I'm not. Am I worried? Not really about these like negative test screenings, but I'm going to see it. They've already got my money, so it's not like I could say, "Oh, it's going to suck," and yet be a hypocrite and not go see it. I'm going to go see it. Now, the next film, though, I'm still on the fence about.
Yeah,
And
Solo, a Star Wars movie.
I'm really excited about Childish Gambino as like Donald Glover as Lando.
Yeah,
But I've seen that they changed the front end of the Millennium Falcon.
and you're very upset about that.
I don't know. I've been kind of put in my place by people who love me very much, like, and told to shut up and stop being a baby. One I'm getting married to. And she told me to relax and just go see the movie anyway, because it's a Star Wars movie. So there's been some theories that, yeah, who knows? Maybe that front compartment was where he smuggled some stuff in the Millennium Falcon. Maybe it was it's just the front end's destroyed at the end of the movie and it gets rebuilt. I mean, another movie that I can complain about, but I'm going to end up seeing it anyway.
I mean, I'm not super excited about this. I do like the cast though. Like you said, Donald Glover, got Woody Harrelson, and then we got Amelia Clarke, aka Daenerys Stormborn of House Targaryen, first of her name, Khaleesi, Breaker of Chains, and Mother of Dragons. Try finding that on a keychain at Disney World. You'll never find that long of a keychain. But I'm excited for those actors and her. She's a babe. I like her a lot in Game of Thrones. Yeah, I'll probably go see it.
I heard Vader's supposed to be in it.
That would be cool. I don't know. I think after the last Star Wars movie, I'm beginning to feel like a little over it all.
I don't know. I'm kind of intrigued by what they have to hold for the future. I mean, Jon Favreau was just named to be directing and working on the new Star Wars television show. Based upon what they make it on, that could be good. I mean, Star Wars World should be opening up in another 8 months. 8 months.
I'm excited about that. Yeah.
Although maybe not 8 months, maybe another year. They showed on Twitter, there's a whole aerial view. They took a drone and they went around like the area, and it's big. It's really big. It looks cool. So I think, yeah, is Disney doing Star Wars by right? Maybe not by what us fans would be hoping for. I didn't hate Episode 8. So.
Yeah, and if you want our take on that, go back and listen to episode 1 of the Infinite Universe podcast, and we talk about it for a good 5 to 10 minutes.
Where John tells me that my opinion's wrong.
Basically. And a fun fact, if you ever go to Disney Hollywood Studios as an adult and you try to take the Jedi training class, they won't let you, and they'll look at you funny.
I was hoping for that.
I tried.
Did you?
Yep.
I wanted to take it. There's an age limit?
Yeah, it was only for kids, apparently.
That is some...
All right.
What do kids know about lightsabers?
All right, moving on. We got Ant-Man and the Wasp, July 6th. Evangeline Lilly as the Wasp, and she will also be in the second Infinity Wars. You may know her from movies like The Hobbit, Hurt Locker, or, as I will always remember her, as Kate from Lost.
This may be a good movie to see in 3D. And also, I like how Wasp... actually, if you watch the trailer, you weren't even too keen on this movie until the trailer came out.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say in the first episode of Infinite Universe podcast. I kind of was like,
Actually,
about Ant-Man and Wasp.
The trailer dropped right after we finished recording that.
Yeah.
Like, I went home and I was like, oh, really? Like, it drops today?
And At first, I wasn't too excited, but then when I saw the trailer, I was like, "Oh, this is going to be cool." And I think this is definitely a movie to see in 3D.
This looks like more of a the Wasp movie than necessarily an Ant-Man movie, which I like because we're getting the Wasp, a strong female character. After that, I think is Captain Marvel. Because that will be the second movie of Phase 4 after Infinity War. And then I think Captain Marvel will be the third movie. And a lot of people think that Captain Marvel is going to be taking the place of Iron Man.
All right, so we'll see what's up with all that,
Yeah.
but that's going down July 6th. I'll probably go see it. I'm sure I will. It's a Marvel film.
I'll definitely go see it.
All right, this next trailer that we got, it was only a teaser trailer, but it definitely got me excited. Venom.
This is my favorite character. I'm actually really excited for that.
Now, it looks like I mean, obviously, I don't want to say it looks like, it definitely is taking place in San Francisco, and it looks like it might be getting some of its storyline from the Venom Lethal Protectors comic book series. The symbiote looked pretty dope. We only get to see it for a
We only got
scene.
seen a little bit with that guy in front of the canister, and it was moving around like almost a black blob.
Now, we don't get to see Venom himself. More of just Tom Hardy kind of on a bed going through the transformation,
and he
it
has,
looks like.
black veins going up. I really hope they stick with the horror concept, maybe. Not as much. I'm sure it's not going to be a complete horror movie. But I mean, everyone was upset we didn't get to see Venom in this trailer. I don't think we're seeing Venom until the movie. I don't think they're going to drop the hammer and just show us, because that's going to be a deal breaker for people. Some people are going to go and see it and not based upon what he looks like. So we're going to get probably a full-length trailer in another couple of months that will tease a little bit more of his costume. We won't see him unless we go see the movie.
And once again, we got that rumor that Tom Holland might be in it. I really hope they throw him into this and figure out a way to do this Spider-Man Venom connection.
They've been saying that the future Spider-Man movies are supposed to interact.
So let's see what happens with all that. And then recently, Marvel announced a whole bunch of release dates, 10 in fact, for movies between the year, get ready for it, 2020 and 2022 for the next phases in the MCU. But we don't get any titles. We don't know. They're just release dates. They're basically claiming stake on these dates, telling other movie companies, watch out, don't put anything out during these times.
Yeah, but who even knows if they're going to adhere to that?
Oh yeah, because they're gonna push back those dates or whatever.
Those dates are always going to get
It was
changed,
basically
like-
when I heard the news, I was like, oh my god, they released 10 dates, and I'm thinking we're gonna know 10 different movies that are coming out in the future, and it's just dates. That's literally all they gave us, and I'm like, we're looking at a calendar with blank canvas.
And we know they don't stick to that, because like the Han Solo movie was supposed to be released in December and they pulled it back. And then this movie is supposed to, Infinity War was supposed to be released in May, and they decided not to compete against Han Solo, and now it's a week earlier. So we're going to be 2 years into a new presidential administration before these movies come out.
All right, up next, let's talk about some DVD releases. All right, so recently Justice League came out, and there's a whole bunch of extras that are on there. Honestly, I haven't checked it out because I don't really care for it.
I'm not. I wasn't a giant Justice League fan. Apparently, there's a big fan petition online demanding Warner Brothers release the original cut.
I don't think we're ever going to see that.
No, I don't think so.
I would love to. I would like to see what this other version should have been.
They want the Zack Snyder version, not the Zack Snyder Joss Whedon version.
Yeah. Anyway, a whole bunch of deleted scenes. I'm not even going to go through these because I don't really care that much. If they were good and you think there's something worth seeing, drop a comment and let us know, and maybe I'll give it a chance. But another movie that recently dropped on DVD, definitely worth picking up, Thor Ragnarok. On there's a couple deleted scenes with Jeff Goldblum, and he's nothing but hilarious in it.
I'm sure he had that entire cast cracking up.
Yeah. Some of the scenes were kind of stupid, to be honest, but Jeff Goldblum is such an endearing actor that it made you like him.
Yeah, he's so flamboyantly fluid and like ostentatious as his character that there was a hilarious YouTube video that was released from it's an extra on the DVD. You saw it?
Yeah.
Where it was like
he's looking for a roommate?
Yeah, he's looking for a roommate, and like because Thor moved out
Oh no! This random guy, some I don't know, we'll just call him Josh. Is looking for a roommate because Thor moved out or something, and his new roommate is the Grandmaster, and it's just funny. It's silly.
He's got a huge bust of his head.
Yeah.
He's talking about how he has a plate stacked with toast. And he just keeps eating.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I'm really liking your culture.
What else? Then there's a scene of Bruce Banner and Thor eating, and they found some. Bruce Banner found some food, and he's eating it, and it turns out it's like some weird bug with tentacles, sort of thing, and the Valkyrie comes in and is like, "Oh, you gonna finish that?" And she just slurps this like slug bug kind of thing down.
The funniest part of that was because they're in the Grandmaster's ship, and remember she said that ship was used for his orgies. And a hologram of him comes up in the middle of the table, and it's got like these weird tentacles, like doing sexual gestures on him, like basically just insinuating that he's having a sexual act with whatever creatures these tentacles belong to. And like Thor's sitting there super, super awkward, like not knowing how to turn this
he did
off. Like,
so again, it's kind of stupid, but kind of funny too. If you liked Jeff Goldblum's character, then you're gonna like some of these deleted scenes. Let's talk about some other DVD releases, Ben.
So Batman Ninja comes out on April 24th. That I'm really looking forward to. It's a Japanese animation movie that is put together by some of the most famous minds in Japanese animation. I can go over them, but I wouldn't pronounce the names correctly, and I'm not familiar with all their work, so I'm not. Legion Season 1 comes out the 27th of March. Suicide Squad Hell to Pay animated movie comes out April 10th. That apparently is going to be pretty big. In the past, Suicide Squad animated films have been really done well.
Yeah, no,
like Arkham Asylum was really,
that one was really good. I like that.
Arkham was really amazing. And then for any fans of the original 1997 animated television show, there was a dual 2-episode like kind of mini movie about Batman and Mr. Freeze, and it was called Batman and Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero, and it's being released on DVD Blu-ray on March 27th. I know that was one of the highest rated episodes of that series. So that's actually pretty exciting.
That's one of my favorite animated series as well. That Batman series is excellent. You got Mark Hamill as playing the voice of the Joker, who, in my opinion, is kind of like, there's two actors I think, you're going to think of as the Joker, at least for me, and it's...
Well, I'd say 3. Jack Nicholson was no slouch.
Yeah, you're right. All right, let's talk about what's on TV. All right, a few shows have come back, including The Walking Dead, Gotham, and Gifted. If you're fans of any of those, go check them out if you haven't already. Walking Dead, spoiler alert, Carl dies.
Wow.
Gotham.
Can you be any more spoiler alert? That was like just... Man, you just shoved the knife in there, John.
Gotham, little bitch boy Bruce Wayne is turning into Batman finally, little by little. And Gifted... It started out with some good potential in the last couple episodes. Now I'm like, So we'll see where that goes.
Now, you said with Gifted they go into a little bit deeper story plots too.
Yeah, there's a lot of characters from the X-Men series in it. Polaris is one of the main characters. Magneto's daughter.
Oh, cool.
In the first 6 episodes, they don't mention that. At all, but in one of the most recent episodes, they find out basically there's this another group of mutants, and they have the Hellfire Club, and they say to Polaris they're trying to recruit her, and kind of long story short, they let it slip that, oh, you don't know that your father was a part of this, and she doesn't really know her father, and so it's almost good. I don't hate it. I don't hate it as much as I hate the other Marvel show that's on Hulu, Runaways. I'm not feeling that one at all.
I heard that wasn't really good.
I'm still giving The Gifted a chance, but see what's up with that. Let's talk DC a little bit. Also on TV, Flash, Arrow, and Supergirl, all still on TV, as well as a new show called Black Lightning. I haven't got to check out Black Lightning yet, but Flash, Arrow, and Supergirl I've been, checking out. Mostly Flash and Arrow. Flash this season, I think was a little weak, but now it's starting to get really good. One of the most recent episodes I saw was a really cool storyline. There's a lot of different DC characters in it this season, which I'm liking.
They're
Yeah.
saying, like, critics have been saying that shared universe of Flash, Arrow, and Supergirl, they're hailing it as, like, that's, like, DC's strong point. They're animated shows, and that,
Yeah.
like, shared universe.
DC kills it.
On
In
the
a good way,
television.
what I'm saying. They're killing it on the television
I
series.
just started Flash the other day, and I'm going to start getting into Arrow too. Not maybe Supergirl, but I know that you've been saying that these shows are must watch. So I'm going to, and in future episodes, we'll be going into deeper conversations. When
Yeah, I
catch
think
up
we're
with
gonna have
John.
an episode about all the television shows on, some episodes that you got to go check out, or some series you can skip.
I'll be honest with you. This Black Lightning show, I watched the trailer for it. It looks like a bad ripoff of Luke Cage.
Yeah, I haven't really given it a chance yet. Again, if you're listening to this and you watched Black Lightning, let us know. Is it good? Is it whack? Is it worth watching? Anything in it that is notable, that maybe we would like as fans, give us a comment.
Now, this next one I'm excited for.
Yeah, March 21st. We kind of just, as we were prepping to do our recording, we kind of stumbled upon this. And now I've been seeing a lot of advertisements for it all of a sudden. The show is called Krypton. It'll be on Sci-Fi. And I like the concept of this.
It's really interesting.
Superman's grandfather,
Segel?
I think it is.
I think it's Segel.
So it's the story of Superman's grandfather, and the villain is the Brainiac. Again, it comes out in a few short days. Depending on when you're listening,
Like another,
depending on when you're listening to this podcast, but March 21st, and it looks pretty good. I'm excited about
I think
this.
It looks damn good.
I think it's a cool concept. I'm glad we're not just seeing another Superman TV show. This is kind of, it's around Superman. It's around Krypton. It's around.
But Brainiac is such a cool villain.
Oh yeah.
And I like sci-fi shows. I'm a big fan of The Expanse, and I think that, if they do this right, if they do right by it, it will be a very interesting show that they can't really fail on. I mean, they could, but hopefully they won't.
Yeah, we'll see how it is, but I'm excited for it. Now let's talk a little Netflix. Jessica Jones season 2 was just released. I really enjoyed season 1. It was a character I really knew little about, but I was excited for a Marvel Netflix series, so I gave it a chance.
That was the first one, right?
Yeah, season 1. I believe it was the first Marvel Netflix series. It was good. I really loved the villain in it, and it left me wanting more, and I kind of got it with the Defenders. I like Jessica Jones in that series a lot. I'm only 2 episodes in on the most recent season of Jessica Jones, and so far it's but it takes time to build a story. We'll see where it goes.
Certain of those shows take at least episode 3 or 4 to get into.
Yeah, before it gets its footing.
Yeah.
Netflix just recently announced the release date for Luke Cage season 2, and that's coming to us June 22nd. I liked season 1. It was cool, but the thing I really love about this show is the soundtrack. And in the new trailer, you got Eric B. and Rakim, I Ain't No Joke. In season 1, there were songs with Method Man, De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest,
I got so
Rakim,
excited
and
when
many
I saw
others.
Method Man in that television show.
Yeah, it'd be like Luke Cage busts through a door, puts on his hoodie, and you hear like a Method Man song playing, or like a Wu-Tang song, and you're like, oh, this is dope. Or like a Gangstar song playing, and you're like, yeah. I'm a DJ by profession, so, whenever I hear like tracks by some of my favorite hip-hop artists in the show, I'm so excited. We'll see what happens with season 2. If you give me a Marvel Netflix show, I'm going to watch it eventually.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch
And, some of them are great. Some of them suck. Iron Fist. And then some of them just kind of lie in the middle, like Jessica Jones. But we'll see what happens with these next ones. Now, this is something pretty interesting. Ben, tell us about this.
So, while doing research on some television shows such as Titan, that's been hinted at for a little while, we found out that DC is releasing its own digital service now. And it's not named yet, and it's supposed to come out sometime later this year. But we found out that Titans will be released on that live action. and that also they're bringing back a animated show called Young Justice that was originally aired in 2010, then got canceled. Season 2 came out in 2013, got canceled again, and DC's going to bring it back on their own accord and stream directly from their own digital service.
With 26 episodes.
Yeah,
so that's
already
cool.
having 26 episodes set up. So that's cool. And apparently there's also going to be a Harley Quinn-based animated series too, directly on her.
Yeah, and I'm kind of excited to see what this DC digital service will
I'd
be.
like to get into that.
Because going back to what we said a little while ago, DC makes some really great animated TV shows
And
or
movies.
movies. Yeah, having a whole platform of all of their stuff. And it looked like to me, when we were reading the article about it, it wasn't just animated stuff. It was their TV series as well. So I saw Flash on there. So it's going to be all that stuff. So let's see what happens with that.
If it's reasonably priced, they can expect me to subscribe.
Yeah, if it's $10 a month, I think I'd be down
I'd
for
be
it.
down for that. If it's like 15 or 20, I mean, that's the thing is that
If it's 15 or 20, we share the account.
yeah, I'd be down for that.
And then we got one more television show that's supposed to be coming out 2019. Fox is going to be doing this one, and the same people who created Gotham will be in charge of this. We're getting a show called Metropolis, and we don't know too much about it yet.
No, it's being made by the same people that do Gotham on Fox. I'm really excited that these television channels are taking risks on some of these concepts.
I like how they're taking storylines of maybe not even the main characters from these.
Yeah.
Like it's not necessarily just Batman in Gotham. You know what I mean? It's about Jim Gordon. It's about the villains and their start or their reign of terror in Gotham. So that's all cool. What they're doing with Krypton, I think that's a cool
That's an
concept.
awesome concept.
You know, because it's like I don't need more Superman in my life, honestly. But a story about Superman's grandfather and their planet, that's cool to me. That's cool to me. That's something that I'm like, ooh, I'm intrigued. Sign me up for.
I think what the television channels are doing, I've realized that the movie studios realized was that these comic books have so much backstories behind it. There is so many different storylines they could go in different directions. And us fans are willing to accept some alterations of the storylines, at least as long as they stay truthful to the characters that we know and love.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing. And they're taking risks on making these shows available to us and giving us a lot of options. Now, Netflix, it doesn't matter to them because they have a platform. And if a show fails, they'll be like, all right, we just won't do another season. But with these television channels, it's a little bit more riskier for them because they have to depend on advertisers. They don't depend on subscribers. So we'll see. Hopefully these shows will be successful and very well written with good acting. And, you know, if they don't work, you know, then whatever.
All right. So I think that just about does it for this episode, Ben. Anything else you want to touch on?
No, go see Black Panther if you haven't seen it. You know, definitely check out Thor Ragnarok. I'm excited for Batman Ninja. I really am happy for that. So stay tuned to our channel because we will be doing another episode in the next couple of weeks on the Infinity War. Some of our theories, what we expect to see, how it connects to the other movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We will also be rating our favorite top 10 movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe out of phase 1 through 3.
Yep. And then one last time, remember to subscribe to us on iTunes Podcast. Please also rate and review. Also follow us on YouTube. Add our channel, like us, leave us a comment. We're also out there on Twitter and Instagram. That's going to do it for episode 2 of the Infinite Universe podcast. If you feel that we were harsh with any of the statements expressed in this podcast, remember that although we are a-holes, we are not 100% a dick. Until next time, I'm Jay Days.
I'm Ben Metlis.
We're out of here. Peace.